Hello, hello. I am Leah Steele, and I am so excited to be here introducing this replay of this incredible panel discussion that we did earlier today, the frequency factor of harmonizing your hormones. I accidentally forgot to record the intro, and so we started the recording about 10 to 15 minutes into the call. And so I wanted to just come and give you a brief introduction of how we even got here to doing this panel discussion and why I feel like this conversation is so incredibly important right now. So my name is Leah Steele, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm really, really passionate about helping women in all areas of their lives. I'm a holistic wealth strategist, and I really, truly believe that holistic wealth is about being well and healthy in all areas of our lives. And I really, truly believe that if we don't have our health, we don't have anything. I have been on a personal journey with my hormones over the last 10 years since the birth of my last child. And I have experienced almost all of the negative things that you can experience in relation to that. And I will share a little bit more once the call starts on my personal hormonal journey. But the thing that I have been noticing is that so many women are silently suffering. And there's so much stigma around women's hormones and the changes and transitions that we go through from premenopause to perimenopause, through menopause and postmenopause. And women just don't feel comfortable speaking about it. And they feel like they're going through it alone, even though just almost half of the world's population also go through this at some point. So I wanted to create a forum where we could actually come and have these very open and candid conversations. And that's one of the things that you will see in this call today, was that the conversations were incredibly authentic, incredibly vulnerable, and very, very candid. I wanted to begin to start a dialogue that would encourage us to share more, to show up more, to support each other more, and really would encourage women to begin to come together more. Because ultimately, what I would love to see happen out of these series of calls is that this generation of women makes some shifts and makes some changes, so our next generation of women doesn't have to deal with the stigma that we deal with around this topic and around this issue. So thank you so much for coming and spending some of your most precious resources, your time and your energy here to watch this call. I know that you will find incredible and tremendous value here. So with that, enjoy. We are so excited to have this conversation with you and to share our stories and to hopefully help you and provide massive value to you. And my intention for you on this call is that you would walk away feeling a little more comfortable talking about whatever it is, whatever phase you're in life. Also feeling like you've got some advocates that you can come and talk to if you are struggling, and if you do need help, and if you do, if you are looking for solutions. We are obviously going to expose you to our incredible products that are absolutely changing the game for us. And yeah, we just really are excited to be here and to share with you. So I'm going to just give you a brief rundown of my hormonal history. I actually went through puberty and started my period very early. I was in 6th grade. I was at the beginning of my 6th grade year. And that in and of itself just felt so isolating because nobody else was going through that at that time. I had boobs, I had curves, and I was a biracial little girl that was living in Salt Lake City, Utah, with a bunch of blonde-haired, blue-eyed Mormons that none of them even started dealing with that until we were well into middle school. So I just felt different. And I, from the very beginning, was so resentful of my body and of my hormones and of that whole transition that I went through. But I didn't actually struggle. So I didn't have bad PMS. I didn't have bad periods. And I actually went through basically, my whole teenage years and through my 20s, not really having anything to complain about in the area of hormones. I got pregnant with my first son. I have 3 boys, 2 biological boys, but I have 3 children. And When I got pregnant with my son at 28, I had an extremely high risk pregnancy. I had a placental abruption and among other things, and severe anxiety. I know that there are a lot of you out there that love being pregnant and have amazing pregnancies, and I love that for you, but mine were horrible. Like both of mine were absolutely horrible. I was on bed rest for the majority of both of my pregnancies. I had debilitating hormone headaches. I was on the highest dose of narcotics I could be on while pregnant in both of my pregnancies because of the hormone headaches that I had. And my pregnancies just wreaked havoc on my physical body. And I recovered, as you do in your 20s, I recovered pretty well from my first pregnancy and then kind of went on to like live a semi-normal life. Definitely had some hormonal challenges after that, but nothing significant. But I got pregnant with my youngest son at 36, and those hormonal headaches were so debilitating that I actually begged the doctor to take him early because I was afraid I was going to hurt myself. That's how bad those headaches were. And I literally was laying on the floor of his reception. I feel so bad in hindsight for all these pregnant ladies that were sitting in the waiting room, but I literally crawled into his office on my hands and knees and I was begging. I'm like, please take this baby out of me. I'm going to hurt myself. Like it was so bad. I had an emergency C-section with my first son, a planned C-section with my second son. I feel like we could do a whole call on the use of C-sections. That's a whole other conversation that we could be having, and what's behind that. But my real hormonal issues started after my last pregnancy, and I have been on a 10-year journey of just the worst of the worst. My endocrine system completely crashed. I've had just about every single issue that you can have under the sun. And it's been a struggle. It's been a real struggle. I gained 45 pounds within, a matter of a couple of months after having my last son. I lost the weight and then gained it back, and I've just struggled. And I have gone through everything that I've gone through largely alone. I didn't feel like I had anyone to talk to other than my medical professionals that, quite honestly, didn't really seem to know how to help me. And I often am just like, how is it that, we know everything there is to know about erectile dysfunction and how to fix it, but we can't seem to help women with women's hormones. I mean, it's fascinating, right? Like what's actually happening in our medical community from a Western medicine perspective. So that's just me. I've had my own personal struggles. So this is really near and dear to my heart. I'm seeing so many friends right now going through perimenopause and menopause and really, really struggling, and looking for answers and looking for direction and like, where do I go? Where do I get information? Like, who can help me? And so yeah, I just, I wanted to come and have this conversation. And so that's why we're here. Yeah. So, and, feel free to share anything that you want to share in the chat. Like, I'm a big fan of just building community. And I think that's one of the main reasons that we're here, is just to know that look, there's 53 women on this call right now. We're all going through this at some level, right? So let's come together and have these conversations. So I want to introduce you to my amazing panelists. And ladies, thank you so much for being here. Michelle, if you just want to raise your hand, Sarah, Sistovic, and Bryn. And Bryn, I actually want to go to you first. So I know that your struggle has been pretty significant. And so I would love for you to just share a little bit about who you are and how it's been and what hasn't worked for you. And I know that these Frequence products have been amazing for you. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that as well. Bryn is a mama to one beautiful son. So yeah, Bryn, tell us a little bit about you and about your journey.
Hi guys. How are y'all tonight? Thank you, Leah. I'm excited to be here because, like Leah said, I feel like this is a conversation that needs to be had, but so many women feel almost shamed to talk about it. It's like it's so taboo. And like she was talking about, everybody knows how to solve erectile dysfunction. What's really funny is I actually have Viagra in my house because my dog takes it for pulmonary hypertension. Who knew that Viagra also helps with pulmonary hypertension, right? Anywho, so I'm 41 years old. I actually have struggled with hormones my whole life. I just didn't realize I was struggling with hormones my whole life. I've always had really heavy periods. I got my period pretty early, like Leah did. I got it at the end of my 6th grade year. And just like her, it was just not something that my mom really talked about. She taught me how to use a tampon, right? And that was it. You know, that's what she did. But I know that my mother and her mother and her mother before her, all of them had very severe, very heavy periods. My mom actually ended up having a hysterectomy in her mid-30s because I don't even know what it's called. Y'all are going to find I'm the least sciencey person on here, just so you know. Her uterus started falling, and essentially, like, she had to get it removed because, like, it was literally like falling out of her. And so knowing that, and then knowing I had the heavy periods, you know, at least that gave me a reason for maybe why I was experiencing the things I was. I always had really heavy cramping too. Fast forward into my adult years, I found myself severely, severely depressed, like the kind of depression where you don't get out of the bed. It's almost, it's hard to explain because it's not like a deep sadness. It's like a deep, almost nothing, like you care about nothing. And so when I started to really track these things, and this was probably in my late 20s, I started to realize that it was always like the 2 weeks before I started my period. And so I would advocate for myself with my regular OBGYN. And he always just told me, oh, you just need to be on birth control. It's fine. Like, I was obviously married and not wanting to have another child at that point anyways. And so I was on birth control, but I never felt good on it. I always felt bad on it. And so essentially I got so tired of being told to just take birth control that I decided to start looking for other options. I switched my OBGYN to a holistic OBGYN. And this was probably around 35. And then I actually got diagnosed with PMDD. So PMDD is like 100 million times worse than any of the things that you experience in PMS. And that's what was happening with my depression. And it wasn't just that, like my boobs, they would hurt like to the point where I wanted to cut them off. Like my mood swings were awful. I mean, I was just miserable for 2 weeks before my period. And so once I got diagnosed with PMDD and I started to have that realization that, like, this is something that I've had my whole life, right? I didn't really know what to do about it. So at that point, I decided to do a lot of lifestyle changes. You know, I really started to focus on moving my body in a way that felt good, eating things that made me feel better, making sure that I was getting enough water, getting enough sleep. And those things did help, but the PMDD was still pretty awful. And so at age 37, with my holistic OBGYN, I did start hormone replacement therapy. And that really was a huge, huge help for me. I mean, it really changed a lot for me, but deep down, I knew that it wasn't something I wanted to continue to have to do if I didn't have to, because essentially when you mess with synthetic hormones, you know, your risk for all kinds of cancer is a lot higher. And I want to live a long life for my family. And so I am 41 now. I've been on the hormone replacement therapy since I was 37. Back in January, I started taking these Frequence products. We have our Rise, which is 7 organic mushrooms, methylated beta vitamins. We have our Source, which is fulvic acid, trace minerals. And I was really intrigued with mushrooms. And I'm like, please don't make me high. I do not want to be high. But I was reading all these benefits about these mushrooms and I'm like, please taste good. And I already knew that minerals were so important for our body, and that our soil is leached of minerals. You know, we're not getting the minerals that we need. Most people are mineral deficient. And so I thought, what can hurt by trying these? Honestly, when I looked into them, I wasn't even thinking about my hormones. I was just thinking about feeling better, because at 41 in perimenopause, which, sorry, I forgot about that. I am in perimenopause. Not only did my PMDD like really escalate, which thank God for the hormone replacement therapy, because it did somewhat even me out, but all the other things started happening. Like I couldn't sleep and I had no energy. I was fatigued all the time, having hot flashes when I'm in the middle of the night, waking up sweating, all these things. And so I started taking these products for the other health benefits, for the energy, for the focus, for the help with my depression, anxiety. And y'all, probably the thing I've seen the most help with has been with my hormones. So just so you guys know, I actually went to my doctor, because I get tested every 6 months to make sure that they're giving me the right amount. I went to my doctor last month, and I got my blood tested again because it was my 6th month. And my doctor asked me what I was doing, because she said, I have never seen your hormones so balanced, so even. If you would like, you can actually come off of your hormone replacement therapy, and we'll just continue to monitor you. And so I've come off my hormone replacement therapy. I actually haven't missed it. The first week or so was just a little weird because my body was trying to adjust from coming off of it. But after that, I felt incredible. And being able to say that, being both diagnosed with PMDD and being in perimenopause, like, I want to scream it from the rooftops. By the way, I do have one other thing that I have to tell you guys about. I know I'm talking too much. I'm going to give it back to Leah, but those of you who hate tampons and have heavy periods, I don't know about y'all, but I hate tampons, and you're putting bleached cotton in your body, which is so bad for you. I actually started using the Flex Disc like 5 or 6 months ago. And if you have not read up on it yet, go. It has made my periods so much better. I don't have to change a tampon all day, and I do not sell the Flex Disc. I'm just saying, if you have not heard of it, it is a miracle for women and periods. Okay, I'm gonna give it back to you, Leah.
I love that. I actually love that you brought up the Flex Disc, because I've been using a same thing. Like my periods since my last son have been horrendous, and like such bad PMS, such bad cramps, and I started using a menstrual cup. And that helped significantly, but I hate them. They're just like, there's so much about them that I hate.
The suckage.
Yeah. So it's so funny though.
Yeah.
When I was in the United States, I got a Flex Disc and I started using it, and I love it. It's like the best. So I don't sell it either, but it's amazing. Maybe we should be selling it. So yeah, definitely check that out if you haven't already. So, Bryn, like, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I mean, I wish I could say that like, this is a story that's uncommon, that I haven't heard a lot, but the reality is that there is so much happening from an environmental perspective, when it comes to disrupting our hormones, that more and more women are entering into perimenopause earlier and earlier. More and more women are having issues with things like PMDD. More and more women are having like significant hormonal issues, and that our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers simply didn't have. And it does have a lot to do with hormone disruptors. So I'm so happy that you shared your story. But, one of the things I think that we really need to get serious about looking at is the environmental toxins that are playing a role in hormone disruption. And I can tell you, the thing that just kills me the most is when I see women online drinking out of single-use plastic. Like, it is probably the single worst thing that you can do for your hormones. I don't know if you saw this, and we'll definitely talk about this on the men's hormone webinar that we do. My dog's crying because my nanny just got back. So sorry, she's excited. They just did a study. They took a sample of 2,500 sperm samples from young adult men, starting from like 18 up to, I think, 25. 100% of the samples had toxic level microplastic doses in them. 100%. So Couple things that I just wanted to share that I think is really important. If you are wearing any kind of nylon or polyester blend underwear, stop immediately.
That's cool. Sure is.
Okay. So a couple of things that I just want to share. If you're wearing nylon or polyester blend underwear of any kind, please get rid of them. This is incredibly important. You need to be wearing cotton underwear only. Please also, with your cotton underwear, don't dry them in your dryer. I don't think, and I know that this is like very difficult for a lot of people that live in colder climates, but drying clothes in a plastic dryer puts microtoxins in your clothes, because those plastics are leaching into your clothes, and then you're putting them on your body, and then that's going into the largest organ on your body, which is your skin, right? So, but especially your underwear, just hang them to dry. Hand wash, hang to dry, okay? And then just stop drinking out of plastic water bottles. Like, I can't even tell you how important this is. And as for children, and for especially if you have boys, the underwear thing is incredibly important, because testosterone levels are lower than they've ever been. And so like, we took all of my boys' underwear, they have cotton only, and they do not get dried. Like, we just hang to dry all of those things. So those are just a couple of tips. So you can think about every time you're drinking. And obviously, like, sometimes we're on the go and we have to drink out of single-use plastic. Like, I get it, but don't make it the norm. Don't stock your house full of single-use plastic water bottles and be drinking out of those, because you are consuming the single largest hormone disruptor there is. And, you know, think like, if you're using a microwave, use glass. Like, don't heat up plastic, don't heat up food in plastic in the microwave. There's just some like really basic things that we can do that actually support not getting worse than we currently are. So with that, I'd actually love to go to you, Sister Vic, because I know that you have, I mean, first of all, this incredible woman has over 3 decades of service as a birth doula. She has 2 beautiful children of her own. She is an herbologist. She has a million amazing credentials that I could tell you. I'd love for her to just share a little bit about her journey. I would love to know, you know, what inspired you to step into this field and to decide to become a birth doula. But I also would love to hear from you from a natural perspective, what you're encouraging women to do to support hormone dysregulation, and then any of your experience about kind of what you're seeing around that as well.
I appreciate that. Give thanks, everyone. We all start our days new, start the next day, and just believe in yourselves to make it a better day. We can all start with us like that. And so for me, I've been really, really blessed from a family. My mom was an herbal kitchener, herbal kitchenist. And so I was always around natural and herbs my entire life, teas and oranges and different fruits and veggies. And so I grew up with that. It was natural for me. And so the beautiful thing is traveling around the world. Very, very young. I actually used to be a diplomatic corps secretary, and I worked in many countries around the world. In every country that I lived in, I found myself being this nurturer and having that from having herbalists in my background and my family, that I would see women who didn't have the information that they needed, who were not being treated fairly and couldn't speak up for themselves. And so for me, natural birth, I was always around it. And I said, you know what? I want to help, because I see there are women who live in spaces and places who don't have support. They don't have anyone to talk to. They're on their own, and they're having a really difficult time with life. And it doesn't need to be that way if you have community. And I've always been in the community, inspired by that. And so that's what I began doing when I lived in Jamaica. And we had only one on the island, just one home birthing clinic on the island. And women would travel, y'all, for days to get there, because they knew there would be other women that would support. And so I was there to support, to give them courage and respond, to say, it's okay, whatever it is and what's happening with you today, we're here to support you to birth. It's the greatest gift of the world, is to be a mom. And we all are here. I don't care if it's with our animal friends, our nieces, our nephews, we all have that nurturing spirit. And that was what it was for me, to be that nurturing soul and spirit, and work in midwifery, and work in birth and postpartum world. And when I tell you I saw everything, depression was at its highest heights. So much so, and the medicine wouldn't work because you're pregnant and you couldn't take the medicine. You wouldn't have a spouse, or it would be domestic violence, all those things that I went through. And so having that voice to be able to listen, just to hear, was the greatest thing that you could offer a mama who was in need, who had no support whatsoever at all. And that's what I was there for, that nurturing spirit. And that carried me forward so much so in leaving. So I lived in Europe, I lived in Africa, I lived in Latin America, but mostly I lived in the West Indies, in Kingston, Jamaica, for 15 or so years. And if you saw the disruption of women, the things that had to happen to them in the music industry that I worked in was just atrocious of what would happen. And I said, when I came back to America, I don't want to see those things happening anymore. So what I want to do is I want to shift and change that, and be that voice, and be that advocate, and be able to educate. And so when I came to America and had my second youth, my daughter, it was the most beautiful home birth. So I don't have a negative story. I had community. I had support, in the natural world, holistically, nutritionally, food-wise, everything, I had it. And so that birth that I had with my daughter literally was a 2-hour birth. 4 pushes and 2 hours was it. No issues, none of that. Believe in natural remedies, my herbs, using pads. But this is what shifted and changed with that, though. I was nurturing everyone else and doing for everyone except myself. And I went through those trials and tribulations after living abroad for over 15, 16 years of my life, and having to come back to America. In my head, no one looked like me. I couldn't really talk to anyone. I felt alone. The anxiety started to come in, depression. I went from a size 2 to easily to a size 20 in 1 year. I blew up. Depression, anxiety. I caved into myself. But yet I had all the answers for everyone else, y'all. All the answers. Have all the aromatherapy. I have all of this and all of that. But I didn't have it for me. And I struggled for a very long time. Nothing was ever linear. But you know what? Up above, man, always believing. I never gave up on that. And so when I had my daughter, what ended up happening with her was about 14 or 15, she began to have issues with cramps. I never had cramps, y'all. I was daily, I was on point, all of those things with my menstrual cycle. But that wasn't my daughter. That wasn't the women that I had been working with that had babies in postpartum depression. And it took me for 363. Now, what can I do to help other people? Because I had all the support. And now I'm here to support my daughter and other women, but what is it can I do? So I went into the womb space. Fibroids and stagnation and perimenopause and, short menstrual cycles, you name it, cyst, all of that. And I began to work with the womb space. But in working in that womb space, I found out I still wasn't working on me until I was introduced to these products. And so having bloating issues, still having weight issues up and down, I still haven't conquered that, but I love myself. And I find myself in the right, beautiful community, inspiring groups like this. And I found that thanks to Leah, introduced to this beautiful community, I didn't have to worry about also other communities I was in had to deal with. Was it my race? Was it my color? Was it my creed? What did I look like? None of that happened here. And that made me feel so good and at home and so comfortable. And I knew I had arrived, that I never gave up, that I'd arrived. And so with my bloating issues and with acid reflux issues, because I had to begin to take care of me, to nurture me, ho, ho. This source, baby, trace minerals. There's nothing like it on the planet. I started in April. Yeah. After being introduced by Leah. And when I tell you, here we are now where we are, I literally can go to sleep happy now because I didn't like to go to sleep because it would wake me up in the middle of the night. I'd have acid reflux. I would have bloating issues. I ain't saying never, y'all, but for the most part, I could sleep and I feel good and I don't wake up bloated anymore. And I can eat full meals again, y'all. It used to be little, but yet I got this body, you know? I got this fluff and more fluff. And I love my fluff because I didn't have to pay for this fluff. I love it. But I wasn't feeling good though, y'all. And I knew what nutrition was. I knew what frequency charged nutrition is. I've been in the frequency world. That's what I do in womb wellness. But I wasn't taking care of me until these products. And I have to say, the acid reflux, no more. No, ma'am. No, sir. It has absolutely been wonderful. And my daughter as well, too. I finally have her on a product that she won't run from. And so she is taking the source. And so those menstrual cycles aren't as painful anymore. And now I'll have her on one of the other products because of her anxiety, which is the balance. She said, okay, mommy, okay, I'm going to do it. And I haven't had any frustration. So we're going up from here, sisters. We all are. Just share it with the world, man. Just share it. So thank you for allowing me to speak. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And if you had one thing that you would recommend to a woman that is struggling in that way, like maybe transitioning into perimenopause or transitioning into menopause, from just all of your natural health and wellness perspective, obviously we have some incredible products that can support, but is there any other piece of advice that you would give to women that are in that phase of their journey?
You can't be alone. You have to speak up about it, because once you do that, you're stagnant. And then you become the problem, and yet you aren't the problem. You are part of the solution. As long as we speak and we talk about it and we have that community, that's when trust begins. And it's not just you alone. It is we together. And that's what it is. And that's what I say. Find a group, find someone who can listen, you know what I'm saying, who can listen to you. And don't shy away from how you're feeling, because that is a part of the problem of having those issues, of having that stagnation, is going within and not really speaking your truth of who you are. Those are the breast cancer, and those are the prostates that happen. And we have to be able to speak and say it in a community that will not talk bad about you, that will not be defensive, but will hear you and offer solutions, because it's coming from the heart, from that heart space. And that's the beautiful thing of where we are here with this community. From day one, that's what I've seen. And I appreciate and I love every one of you and everyone on the call. I promise you, this is the real deal, people. This is real life, you know? And women do love each other. We do care about each other.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love that so much. And I think it is so important. You know, I mean, one of the things that I do in my other life is I help people clear stuck and stagnant emotional pathology from the organs and meridian systems of the body. And we know that that stuck and stagnant emotional pathology is actually ultimately what leads to dis-ease and ultimately disease in the body. We know emotions cause all illness and sickness we have in our body. So when we are repressing what we're going through, we are adding to these symptoms. So I love that Sister Vic shared that, because we have to speak up. We have to share. We have to come into communion and into community with each other. You know, our ancestors, the women of our ancestors went into a tent together and supported each other, right? It was not an individual journey. It was a collective journey, and it was a rite of passage. And I certainly don't think we're all going to get together in tents and bleed together, but, you know, we can have a virtual tent of sorts, right? Where we can actually connect and have conversations. So thank you so much for sharing that, Sister Vic. Sarah, I want to go to you next. Sarah is our resident Canadian on this call. And honestly, just one of the most amazing women I think I've met in such a long time. I feel so incredibly blessed and grateful that she's come into my life and into my world. And, you know, it's interesting because I was actually so surprised to hear about your struggles, Sarah, because I think that you are just this amazing, beautiful ray of sunshine who always seems happy and always seems like everything is going well in your life. And that is definitely a gift I think that you have, but I would love for you to share a little bit about your journey and your story. And I know that these products have been just life-changing for you. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that as well.
Well, thank you. I am so glad to be here. I freaking love women. I just am so glad that I am a female. I'm so grateful. And like, I'm just sitting here listening, and I realize like I'm kind of thawing out into who I really am and into my real feelings of being a woman, and reminding myself of how important community is. It is everything. Is so important, and how we isolate ourselves, and how that's just evolved. Like families don't even live together anymore. Like it's just changed so much. I'm a big fan of communities. I'm a big fan of groups. Put me in a group. Put me in a group with people, even though I'm an introvert. This is what matters so much. And like, just thank you, Leah, for pulling this together, for spearheading this conversation that is so important. And I hope that for generations to come, and my daughter's 19, and for the younger women, they won't even know that this wasn't a normal conversation. Like I'm listening to Bryn and to Sister Vicky, and like really what keeps coming up in my mind. I'm 57. I haven't had, and I'm terrible with timelines. I don't know. How long have I not had a period? 4 years, something like that. I'm terrible with timelines, but I'm listening, and I'm reflecting, and I actually had a memory pop into my mind. Well, first of all, I want to ask Leah a question. Actually, this is really important. If my hanky pankies are 20 years old, and they are, have they off-gassed, and can I keep them and still wear them?
Okay, this is like such a good question because I am obsessed with hanky pankies, but do you know that they make cotton ones?
I'll go get some. I don't care. They last forever. I'm not kidding. I got some that are like plaid that are 25 years old.
I think that's probably a bad sign that they last forever. It's probably not like the best, most organic.
Yeah. They've off-gassed by now. Oh, there's some cute undies, man. They're cute underwear. I'll send you a screenshot later. Cotton hanky pankies. I'm so excited. But
I love them as well. So it's super funny that you even say that, because I just went out and bought myself a whole bunch of their cotton ones because I love them as well. I think they're like the best fit ever.
Done. I'm
in.
in.
Hanky pankies either, but it's just a good brand.
Yeah. So I was thinking as people were sharing, and a memory came up, and I thought, and I didn't have anyone to talk to about this. And so it was like all the phases were horrible for me. As a teenager, my PMS, I was what we fondly labeled ourselves as psycho bitches from hell. As a psycho bitch from hell, it was like aliens came in and took over my body, and I was dangerous to myself and others. And my relationships ended every single month, right? And I was tearful, and I did not feel like myself. I felt like aliens came in, took over. I did a whole bunch of crazy, really nasty stuff. If you added alcohol and drugs, look out. I was jumping out of a moving car at that time of the month. It was bad news. Perimenopause was awful too. I was soaking wet all the time. Soaking wet. Just like, where did all the water come from? That's what I want to know. It was like buckets of, you could slap the water on my bed, make noise with the water on my bed. Where did it all come from? It was awful. And then menopause was awful with like, not low libido, but no libido. No, none. no libido. Unless we were doing it. Then I was like, we're going to do this every day, all day. And then I'm like, no, it's gone. Where did it go? What happened? That was so weird. All these things that happen, we don't talk about enough. I think it's starting to change. Women like Leah, bringing women like all of you together to have this conversation. It just has to be normal, because it creates shame if we keep it inside. And I'll just share this one story because it just keeps coming in my mind. And so I would have been in my mid 40s. Perimenopause was starting, and my at the time husband and I were at a wedding. He's my husband now, but we're very good friends. We were at a wedding, and in the evening, and my period was like clockwork. I got it on time, and it was always in the morning. Get up out of bed, walk to the toilet, sit on the toilet, and there'd be some blood. It never was in the bed. It was never on my legs. It was always in the morning. It was always in the toilet. Boom, there it is. I knew what day. I knew what to do. Even though I turned into a crazy lady, that part was predictable. And we were at a wedding, and it was the evening, and I went to go pee, and the toilet was full of blood. And I had this overwhelming sense of loss and grief that it was over. It was the beginning of the change, the big change. Not over. I don't want any more children. I had 3, but it was the indicator that if I wanted to have more, I might not be able to. Well, I knew I could then, but it was the beginning of the big change. And I stood in that stall in shock, and I thought, it's starting. And I felt so emotional. I was shocked at how emotional I felt. No one talked about it. Nobody warned me. Nobody told me I might have feelings around it. I mean, drop a 1 in the comments if you can relate. Well, you have to be in perimenopause, but I must not be alone in that feeling. I actually went back to the table, and I was kind of like, whoa, it felt like a passage. It felt like a big deal. And I was driving home. I had a hard time concentrating on the joyful event. I don't know. It just felt really big. And I remember driving home with my husband, and I was telling him about it. And bless his heart. I mean, I was talking to the wrong sex, for one thing. Plus, he was my husband. Now he's my ex-husband. I mean, I said, and he said, well, it's probably just a little blip on the radar. You'll go back to normal. Nothing. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It is the beginning. It is the beginning of the change. I desperately wanted to like get some feminine energy out of him, and I couldn't, right? And then certainly was. I was on the yo-yo. I was on the yo-yo of my period being all wonky. I'd go 3 months without it, get it again. 11 months without it, get it again. I was on that. And I just remember, and then when I hit menopause, a full year without a period, it was another grief, right? My husband's 45, I'm 57. I'm like, not that I was going to, but just to know that I couldn't if I didn't want. Such a strange thing to even say out loud. But in my heart, and I had all these dreams that I was pregnant, dreams that I was nursing. I actually could feel my milk come in, I thought, right? Maybe not, I don't know. And suddenly you're in grandma phase, and every baby, you want to hold every baby, you want to pinch all their cheeks, and you just want to hold the babies. And there's all these phases that we go through, and they're natural and they're beautiful. But what is interesting to me is that we spend so much of the time alone. And I don't think I ever told anybody that story about that night at the wedding till right now. And I feel emotional about it, right? Like and that I was trying to get emotions out of my poor husband. And, you know, like the brain fought that. To me, that just feels even more important than anything I was planning on talking about. It really does. We need to know that it's all okay. Right? All the feelings are okay. Like I can literally at my age right now, at my hormones doing what they're doing, I can feel changes on my physical skin. I can feel them. I'm not saying I can see them in the mirror. I can feel things changing. I can feel the change on the outside. That's something to get used to. And I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. It's going to keep going. And I want to talk to other women about it. I want other women to say, I do too. Yeah. When I lay on my yoga mat, my neck lays on the mat too. I get it. I get it, lovely. I feel you. You're beautiful. We got this. I want to talk to other women who feel that way. Not a 45-year-old sexy beast husband. He can't help me. is you guys. And so I'm grateful for this. I mean, just so grateful. That's truly completely opposite of what I thought I was going to share. But I obviously needed this community. So thank you for pulling it together, Leah. Really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. That was so powerful. Like, it's interesting because like I realized like I had a moment like that as well, like 2 years ago, and I've never talked to anyone about it. And I was like, oh, like, why am I so emotional? And I was like emotional for like 2 days about it. I was like, why am I emotional? And then I'm like, repress, like, don't think about it, get back to life, you know? So thank you for sharing that. So powerful. And I do know that you struggled though post-menopause with significant brain fog.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like, and I will just say post-menopause, here's another thing that no one tells you. I thought when I had a year with no period, bring out the party hat, hormone nightmare over. Wait, what? I called my naturopath about 9 months later. I said, something's wrong with my brain. It's not working. Something's wrong. She's like, well, when was your last period? I'm like, well, it's been all close to a year. She goes, oh, you're in post-menopause. I said, what? I said, what? There's another phase? She's like, yeah, there's another phase. I'm like, oh, it's not over. And the brain fog was so bad. I felt like the dental cape for the x-rays. That's what it feels like is on my brain, and can't connect from here out here coherently, properly. And actually started to think, is this why my grandma never talked? It's like, because she couldn't feel like she could string a sentence. I started to get worried about, so the brain fog was really, really bad, you guys. And these products, like especially the Rise, I think, because that's what I started with. Oh, I don't really know, actually. Someone else who's more versed in the products completely like 100% lift it and make me feel better than I ever felt before. I can't even say go back to when I was a teenager, because I already told you I was a psycho bitch from hell. So that doesn't count, right? Like, so better than I've ever felt before and more clear. Like, I shouldn't be able to be speaking right now even. And I'm doing a good job. Yeah, they've helped. The brain fog at post-menopause is real. Yeah, for most women, I think.
And if you had one piece of advice to give somebody who's in post-menopause, like, what would that piece of advice be?
Yeah, well, Coral asks, when does post-menopause hit? At 12 months, no period to the day. Feels like it. One piece of advice for post-menopause, honestly, keep in this community, or any talk to a woman friend of around your same age, right? Or older, who's been ahead of you too. Talk for sure. But I have access to a ton of products. My husband is a biohacker. He is into every supplement and everything, and he wants to help take care of me. He's constantly looking up things for me and for my age, right? He cares a great deal. And I would tell you, I mean, it's these products, these with the frequencies infused into the mushrooms and the minerals. I truly can tell you that the brain fog, I can test it and not take it on a day, and I get my old brain fog back, and then I take it and it goes away. Yep. Mushrooms are magical.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I think, I'll just mention here, because I think it's something that, we often talk about inside our Frequence community, but I don't know that we share as much as we should. Outside of our Frequence community, is that, the thing that's really unique about these products that we're taking, first and foremost, the quality of the products is second to none. I mean, just the way that these products are actually produced, these are the highest grade supplements that you can get. But on top of that, so that's great. And we know that there are so many great supplements out there that can take our biology, address with chemistry, and create a shift and change in us, which is beautiful. And it takes some trial and error trying to figure out which supplements work and which doses and all of that stuff. But we know, and we've known for a long time, supporting biology with chemistry is beautiful, especially if we're supporting biology with chemistry that's not pharmaceutical in nature, right? Like if we're doing it the organic and natural way, like that's that's the best thing that we can be doing for ourselves. The beauty of these Frequence products is we've actually taken this a step further. And Sarah was just speaking about frequency. So we've actually taken biology, addressed it with chemistry, that then has been, now we have a physics component. So we are now actually driving that supplementation into the cells of the body with frequency, which is why we get the dramatic and radical results that we get with our products. Yes, they're high quality products. Yes, they're amazing. Yes, the ingredients are next level. And we're coming up on an hour right now. I had a feeling that this was going to run long. So we definitely will have replays available if you need to pop off, but I will be sharing a little bit more about the products. I do want to hear from Michelle. But I will be sharing a little bit more about the products and actually how they support hormonal health, because I think it's important for you to understand how they support hormonal health, what's in them that supports hormonal health. But probably the most important thing that I can say to you is this frequency component, 11 harmonic frequencies, 9 of which support the organs and meridian systems of the body coming into homeostasis and balance, 1 grounding frequency and 1 a more immune support frequency. That's the magic in these products. It is the driving of the high quality nutrition into the body with physics. Okay. So that's what makes us unique. Category creating, in fact. Michelle, last but certainly not least, I would just love for you to share. I mean, this has been like such a powerful conversation, and I'm sure like you probably, like Sarah, had an idea of what you were going to talk about, and now it's probably something entirely different. So I'm just going to open the floor for you to share whatever's on your heart. Michelle lives in California. She is a mama of 3 beautiful children. She is a health and wellness professional, has been her whole life. Just an incredible woman. So Michelle, the stage is yours.
It's funny that you say that, because with each person that talked, it brought back a memory. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to talk about that. And then we'd go here, and I think about this. And then Sarah, so I am going to tell a little bit about myself, but touch really where Sarah left off, because I think it's super important. Yes, I'm 56 years old. It's important to know that I started at 4 years of age dancing. So I have been into physical fitness my entire life. I did not get my period for the first time till I was almost 15. Now, probably if I was to guess, because I was always under 100 pounds, dancing, and typically you have to be 100 pounds before you get your period, or with all the hormones that are pumped into, you know, our food and what our kids are getting it younger. But I was almost 15 years old when I got my period. I was just like, was it Sarah? I think you said it. Literally every 28 days, I'd sit on the toilet, never in the bed. I'd go to wipe. I go, oh, I have my period. I was that blessed person. I'm the girl that you hated. I never had cramps. I got my period every 28 days. I got pregnant at 32. I had a doula. My doula didn't make it to my birth because I literally transitioned so fast that by the time she got to the hospital, the baby was born. No drugs with any of my children. I had a midwife, my second son, and literally got to deliver the child myself because I was so flexible. She goes, give me your hands, pulled the kid out. I mean, I loved being pregnant. You only knew I was pregnant because my belly grew. I was that girl that you hated. I mean, I don't mean that. I loved being pregnant. I would have been pregnant 20 times over if I didn't have babies at such a later stage in my life. What happened for me though was, and oh, by the way, born and bred East Coast Italian. When I got my period, my mother put a pamphlet on my bed, and we didn't have tampons back then. So I learned how to put a tampon in from my gynecologist. And so my family never talked about anything. The day I was getting ready to get married, my mother sat down on the bed and said, let's have the talk of, what happens on the wedding night. I mean, no conversation, very, very proper Italian family. I made the decision that I was going to be a talker when if I had a daughter, and my youngest is a daughter, and she's the complete la, 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 never wanted to talk. Like I literally had to put the tampons underneath the cabinet for her because she didn't want to have, and here I was wanting to have the conversation because I never had it and had the opportunity. Okay. So now we're going to fast forward. I'm 55 years old. I go to my gynecology appointment and the doctor says to me, we should talk about birth control with you because you still have viable eggs. And I'm like, what? Anyway, fast forward 6 months. I'm every 28 days. I'm 55 and a half. All of a sudden, I don't get my period. So I go a month. I get my period. Then, like Bryn said, my nipples were so sore. I mean, worse than when you get pregnant. Like when you said the whatchamacall, like fiber or sandpaper across the nipples. I mean, it was like, what the hell? Then I started getting these ginormous boobs. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I'm not fitting into my Lululemon tops. I've invested a lot of money in these suckers. I'm not buying new bra tops. And then, now here I am, somebody who is very aware of their body. And then all of a sudden, I started bleeding, like to the point that I had never worn a super before. And I'm a bar instructor. And in the morning, I would get my period. And it was so heavy that I actually asked if you could put 2 supers in because I couldn't even go an hour without like hemorrhaging all over the place. Like it was so bad that I actually was about to get an ablation because I was bleeding. Like I went from skipping a couple months, then it was like 3 months of bleeding, like nonstop bleeding while I was shedding eggs, not realizing what was going on. And then I hit May, and then I never got a period. And then I went a whole complete calendar year with no period. Now, here are the things I want to talk about. I was that girl that didn't have the PMS, wasn't moody, didn't, everything was a breeze up until. So now I am a moody bitch to the point that my husband would breathe and it would freaking piss me off. Like that was not my personality. Like when I tell you then like I'd be bawling at Hallmark movies. I mean, who cried at Hallmark movies? You know the plot. They always kiss 2 seconds before it ends. I'm like full on crying. Like my emotions are all over the place. What I couldn't get a handle on was the brain fog. And that started right when I hit the year. Oh, and let's talk about what we don't talk about, the libido. To the point that my husband was like, do you not find me attractive? And I'm like, because I wasn't initiating anything. And I'm like, okay, it is not you. Please understand it's not you. Like, if you get me going, I'm good. But I am not going to be the one to initiate. I had no desire in sex, which again was not part of my personality. Like I went from wanting it to like, I could have gone like the rest of my life without it. Like that's how I felt. I enjoyed it while it was happening, but man, you had to warm me up. Like it was bad. The brain fog, so ridiculous that my mother has dementia. And I actually thought I was in the starting stages of dementia because I would literally, and these are the things they don't talk about. I would walk into the kitchen and I'd be like, what the fuck am I doing in the kitchen? Like clearly. And then, as an instructor, so I don't professionally dance, but I teach. You can't have brain fog when you have to like teach a class and have choreography going on in your head and you're like completely, so all that's going on. So then this past June 1st, so it's been 4 months, I take my first rise. And it was like a blanket was lifted off of my eyes. And here's what I want to tell you that for me, because I've been so in tune with my body, when I went to go teach, I wasn't just thinking about the next move. I was having choreography going on in my head. I was 3 moves ahead. I became so creative being on the products that I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Now, the source. I personally think the source is the most underrated product that we have. Those trace minerals, that fulvic acid, I will tell you, going back to what Leah said, I did see that thing that you were talking about. You might have even sent it to me. I might have seen it on my own. I am not a big water bottle drinker. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh. But you have to understand something about the source. It pH balances any water you put it in. Well, guess what? It does the same to your body. The frequencies, the way that it goes in and balance your body. I got on product June 1st. I have always been a very, like 125 was like where I would stay. Going through menopause, tire around the belly, boobs, up to like 135. And I could not budge that. I was working out the way that I was. I knew how to eat. Nothing was working. I got on these products, and within 60 days, you guys, I started to just see the inflammation leave my body. The brain fog was lifting. My energy changed. My sleep, I wasn't sleeping. I was weird. I didn't have hot flashes. I had cold flashes. I was literally sleeping in sweats because my body was doing the complete opposite. So I was a hot friggin' mess. But my mood changed, just everything. And I'm now right now, and then like I've really dialed in my eating. I'm like sitting at 119. I have not been this small since, I don't know, like to my teenage years. Like, and it's not that what's going on is it's literally balancing my hormones. Like everything that I was feeling from that year on, like, because I really want to talk about this. Like, even when I teach class, I love that we're having this community. I am like a no filter girl in my class. I will be in class, we'll be doing an exercise like, see this girl, this is the shit that starts to happen when you get into like post-menopause. Your skin gets dry. I mean, I was like, Leah, I need something for my skin. I'm putting emu oil on my skin. It's actually working. But the way that your face gets dry, all the things that happen, like everything dries up, if you get my drift, okay? There's some crappy shit that happens and it is not fun. However, these products have been very lovely and I'm very thankful for them. That's all I got to say.
I love it. And I mean, look, like this is, what's so crazy is I've been sitting here listening to these ladies talk. Who's experiencing this? I've been listening to these ladies talk going, oh my gosh, that happened to me. And I didn't even realize it was part of this. Like, who's had that experience since we've been on this call? I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize. Like, yeah, I had that too, right? Yes, I've experienced that too. Yeah,
I'm buying stock in coconut oil.
Oh my gosh. So, wow. Like, I feel like this has been so amazing and such a wealth of information. And again, like we're going to have at least 2 more of these that are focused on women's hormones. So stay tuned for those, definitely. But I do want to chat a little bit about the products. But before we do that, I do also want to just share, those of us that are part of Frequence have this incredible honor of having this resource of this man named Dr. Rob DiMartino, who is our frequency medicine doctor, who shares so much epic wisdom and knowledge with us. And one of the things that he shared that I've really been incorporating that has been helping me so much with hormonal balance is really tapping into the frequency of our natural environment. And so we would be remiss if we didn't talk about this, if we didn't talk about how important it actually is to be getting out and getting sun. So, and to be getting sun, not just once a day, but to be getting sun 3 times a day. So if we want to be in optimal hormonal balance, we're getting into the sun within the first hour that we're awake. We're getting outside and getting sun in our eyes for a minimum of 10 minutes. Okay. Then we're getting midday sun between 12 and 2 p.m. Ideally for at least 30 minutes. So go eat your lunch outside. And then that evening sun just before sunset for at minimum 10 minutes. This is what our ancestors did. This is what created that homeostasis in the body. And it is something that is free, that every single one of us can do. Look, it's difficult. I'm not going to say it's not, because it is. It is, for me, I struggle. I struggle getting the 3 times in a day, but I can tell you that when I do and when I get it consistently, I'm a whole different person. So getting the sun, getting your feet out in the grass. And this isn't just some weird crunchy woo-woo thing, like grounding and actually bringing our body into contact with the earth is so important. And again, it's free. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm in XYZ and there's snow on the ground. Go put your feet in the snow. It is so good for you. You don't have to stand out there for 20 minutes, but go out and put your feet in the snow. Bring your body into contact with nature. Like, our ancestors didn't have these issues because they were so dialed in to nature. They were getting the frequency charging from their environment, and we just shut it all down. On top of that, we then, not only do we not get the sun, not only do we not get the natural light, not only are we not out grounding and putting our feet in the earth, but on top of that, we are surrounding ourselves with blue light basically every waking hour that we're awake. And it is so incredibly damaging. So the other huge service that you can give your hormones is to get some blue light blocking glasses and start wearing those at dusk. Stop looking at screens. Stop looking at blue light without blue light blocking glasses in the afternoon. And this may seem like this isn't a big deal, but I promise you, if you incorporate just these small things, you're going to see a big difference in your sleep. And sleep quality is huge as we're going through these transitions. Like, that's the first thing I hear from people. I can't sleep. My sleep is horrible. I'm hot at night. These things will help you manage that naturally. Okay. Go invest $30 into a pair of good blue light blocking glasses on Amazon. Or at a local retailer, preferably, that does it. But if you can't do that, then get it from Amazon. But yeah, like, these are just some things that naturally we can do. So hopefully we've shared a couple of tips with you of things that you can do like straight away, right? Stop drying your underwear, go get some cotton underwear, get out in the sun, wear the blue light blocking glasses, bring yourself into as much natural harmony and rhythm as you possibly can. And please, for the love of God, stop eating any seed oils. So that's the other massive hormone disruptor, and they are in everything. Okay. Stop eating and consuming seed oils. It is why we are seeing such devastating levels of autoimmune, of hormone disruption, of people's endocrine systems crashing, is seed oils. So, if you just made these small changes, like, you would be in an entirely different reality. For me, I'm like, there is a lot of research coming out right now that the body actually can't even recognize anymore the difference between like an avocado oil and an olive oil and a seed oil, because of the damage that we've done to our bodies with the seed oil. So for me, I think you have to be very careful about the consumption of oils in general. And if you are not a vegetarian or a vegan, I highly recommend cooking with tallow or butter, because neither of those are going to disrupt your hormones. And in fact, they're going to do the opposite. They're going to support hormonal health. They're going to support brain health. Seed oil is now named all kinds of things. That's the other thing. You have to go and research this, because now they're starting to call it different things, because we're catching on to the fact that it's called, so like rapeseed oil is a new one that sounds kind of natural. Like, oh, what's a rapeseed? Like, that sounds like that could be something organic or something natural. So they're naming it all these different names to try to get us to continue to consume it. So do your research on that, definitely. Okay, so I want to spend just a few minutes right now telling you a little bit about our products. And I want to talk specifically today about three of our products, which are really our cornerstone products. Our two products that you can get anywhere in the world, our Source, which we have gone on and on about tonight. And that is because this product is absolutely amazing for detoxification, for gut health, for electrolyte balance, and bone health. I mean, a million other things, but this is our trace mineral product. Okay. It's fulvic acid and trace minerals, and it is actually replenishing what you're not getting because our soils are so depleted. So we are not getting, our foods don't have the proper nutrients in them anymore because our soil is so depleted. So what this product is doing is actually replacing those missing minerals, but it also helps with absorption. So it's helping us to actually absorb the minerals that we're eating from our food, absorb the supplements that we're taking. Like, for me, like, that's the thing that I think it does the best, which creates the biggest shift in us. It really helps with detox pathways as well. So as you stop eating seed oil, which, by the way, has a 4-year half-life. That means seed oil that you consume is not fully out of your body for 8 years. 4-year half-life. Okay, so this product is going to be so helpful in detoxing that garbage out of your body. So it's incredibly, this product is incredibly powerful. So we love this so much. And we combine that in the morning with our Rise product. This is our functional organic mushroom product. It is nootropics, and it has high dose methylated B vitamins that give you an incredible amount of energy. Now, I always talk about methylated B vitamins because one of the other things that may be going on with you in relation to your hormones is the MTHFR gene mutation. So if you've never heard of this gene mutation, 70% of the world's population has this mutation. And it is unknown to many people that they have it. That gene mutation actually prevents you from absorbing the nutrients in your food. So not only do we have depleted soil, but now 70% of our population has a genetic mutation that further inhibits them from being able to absorb the nutrients in their body. Part of that gene mutation makes it so that when we take certain minerals and vitamins, we don't detox them properly and they can become toxic in our bodies and in our system. One of those is B vitamins. So this was one of the huge selling points for me for these products actually, was when I saw that there were methylated Bs, because I can't take regular B vitamins. In fact, I typically go get shots of methylated B because I can't consume B vitamins because they become toxic in my system. Methylated B vitamins here. Okay. So the beauty is this product also combined with frequency. So frequency is driving on a physics level into the cells of the body. This product is helping you absorb the nutrients. So you're driving this product into this product, which is helping with the absorption of this product. Okay. So these two, we call this rising and vibing. So we all do this every morning. That was a great question on Source. The recommended dose on Source is 2 droppers full, not 2 drops, 2 droppers full. So you pull up a full dropper full. This product actually only has a 12-hour half-life. I used to be in addiction treatment and co-occurring disorders. I know a lot about pharmaceuticals, so I'm always fascinated by half-life on things. Source, trace minerals only have a 12-hour half-life. So you should be taking 1 dropper full of this in the morning with this product and 1 at night. In order to get the full 24-hour benefit from this product, you would take 1 in the morning and 1 at night, okay? Because half of this product is out of your system 12 hours after you take it, which means that anything that you're eating in the evening or any supplements that you're taking in the evening, you're not getting that, you're not getting the supplements and the goodness of the food you're eating and the supplements you're taking driven into the cells of your body unless you're taking this twice a day, okay? Those are those 2 products, and I'm going to tell you specifically how they help hormones in just a moment. But I have to speak about this product because I absolutely love it and I'm obsessed with it. And if you are in Canada or Australia or one of our other emerging markets, UK, Europe, unfortunately, you cannot get this product yet. But if you are in the United States and you are not using this product and you are having hormonal issues, please start. This is our collagen peptide product. And so we often promote this as our bedtime bestie or a sleep product, but I actually think that's so remiss because this product is so much more than a sleep product. It is actually a full synchronization and regeneration product. So this has CBN and CBD, which helps so much with those evening insomnia, sleep things. It has magnesium, which also helps with sleep and so many other incredible things. If you are not taking a magnesium supplement and you are struggling with any type of hormonal issues, that's the first thing to do. Okay. In a market where you don't have this, if you're not taking at least 350 milligrams of magnesium when you go to bed at night, start doing that. It will help so much with balancing that overnight hormonal action that you've got going on. This also has GABA in it, which is so incredible for our brains and regeneration of our brain. So this product is a nighttime product. You take this at night. Often people will put this sachet in a glass of warm water with their dropper of Source and drink that in the evening. So those are the 3 kind of cornerstone products that I believe of our whole entire product line are the most impactful when it comes to hormonal health. And I want to actually just share a little bit with you about what these products actually do from a scientific perspective when it comes to our hormones. So I'll speak about Rise first, because this is the one. I mean, there is so much goodness in this one supplement. So we've got 7 organic, sustainably sourced mushrooms. Okay. And that in and of itself, to have that many mushrooms in one product is pretty unique. But on top of that, you're getting 1 full gram of mushrooms in this product. So it's high dose. Which actually makes such a huge difference. If you know supplementation at all, having that big of a dose of mushrooms in a product is significant. So Rise contains several ingredients that potentially support women's health, but the biggest ones are the B vitamins, which I talked about. Like, B vitamins are so crucial for energy production and mood regulation. So if you're not supplementing with B vitamins, you're really doing your body a disservice, because with the hormonal fluctuations, they really help combat fatigue, but they also just support our overall emotional well-being and energy. This product also has L-thyrazine in it. And it is a very powerful amino acid that actually helps us to produce neurotransmitters. And it helps us to produce the neurotransmitters actually specifically that regulate mood and stress response. So this is huge as we're moving through these transitions to be able to have this. So it's really beneficial during the hormonal shifts that affect our emotional balance to have those neurotransmitters being regulated and really, really supported. So then with our mushrooms, we have cordyceps. Those are great for energy and stamina. So they address the fatigue that we experience. There's reishi. It's an adaptogen, so it really helps to balance hormones and reduce stress. And it also eases menopausal symptoms like mood swings and our sleep disturbances. Reishi is actually really great for that. We have organic king trumpet in here. That mushroom specifically supports heart health. And that's really important, because one of the things that we don't talk about enough is how our cardiac health is affected and impacted as we move through these changes. It's something that's not talked about a lot. We're seeing more and more heart attacks in women than we have in a really, really long time. Lots of other reasons for that as well. We won't get into that on this call, but this mushroom, incredible for supporting and helping us to reduce cardiac risk factors. We have shiitake in here, and shiitake supports, we've been talking about skin, right? Those skin changes. Shiitake supports skin elasticity, skin health, immune function, all of which are, drastically impacted as we're moving through these changes. Then we've got lion's mane. This one is like this is the power puncher when it comes to cognitive function and mental clarity. So everybody that's talking about this product helps so much with clarity. Like, this is it. This is the jam. Okay. The lion's mane is so supportive of just overall cognitive function. Then we've got turkey tail, which is boosting immune function and overall wellness, like just great for overall wellness. And then we have chaga. And chaga is a really, really powerful antioxidant. So it really helps with that anti-aging, but more importantly than that, it helps us combat the oxidative stress. And that's really what's happening to our bodies. We're having all this oxidative stress that kicks up as we start moving through these transitions. And so that product is incredibly helpful in that arena. So Sync, which is the regeneration product that I was talking to you about, it has collagen peptides. This is bovine collagen, by the way. And the reason that it's bovine collagen is because there is no other collagen that has proven as effective as bovine collagen. Okay. So it helps with skin elasticity and joint health. So I cannot stress this enough. This product has made such a huge difference for me in joint health. And this is one of the things I think we don't talk about when it comes to perimenopause. How many people have these weird random joint pains? And significant and painful. I mean, like, so painful. So this product is absolutely incredible for that. The collagen peptides combined with the magnesium, okay? So skin and joint health, the peptides, magnesium, joint pain, also helps with mood swings, sleep quality. Magnesium is great if you are going through the transitions where you're starting to get the really bad cramps, because that actually happened to me as I started going through perimenopause. The cramps were brutal. So magnesium helps so much with that. And so magnesium is the thing that probably all human beings are the most deficient, one of the most deficient in. So I take magnesium supplementation in addition to zinc. Like, it's magnesium every night without fail, because it helps with everything. And then this product also has GABA and CBN. So these promote relaxation and better sleep. And the thing that we know, like, sleep is so important. And we actually like don't talk about how important sleep is, but the body can't regenerate and rebalance if we're not sleeping. And that's the biggest thing that goes when we start to enter into these transitions, is we have difficulty sleeping. We have difficulty sleeping because we're hot. We have difficulty sleeping because we have anxiety. We have difficulty sleeping because our liver is working overtime. And so we're waking up in the middle of the night. Like, there's all these things that happen. So that product is so incredibly impactful and supportive of that. And then our incredible Source product, which we love so much. I mean, I think we've talked about Source, right? But let me just pull up my list because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Source also has magnesium in it. It does an incredible job of balancing electrolytes. And when our electrolyte balance, like, this is something I'm actually struggling with right now, is my electrolyte balance will just go out of whack. And all of a sudden I've got low blood pressure, a racing heart rate, and it's hormonal, like, it's fully hormonal. And this product helps so much. So it was interesting because I take Source regularly. In fact, like, I take more than the recommended dose. I take 2 droppers in the morning and I take 1 dropper at night. But I have started, when I've started to kind of feel this like rushy feeling that's coming from, I have really low blood pressure anyway, but so when this thing happens, it's like my blood pressure tanks and my heart rate skyrockets. So I've just started taking 2 droppers full of this when I start to feel that, and it brings it back into balance. Electrolyte balance is so important as we're going through this. And I just think, like, that's something that isn't talked about enough. And so we don't get enough proper salt in our diets. And I know that we've been taught to believe that salt is this like evil, you know, it's a demon, just like butter was and just like the sun was. But the reality is we don't have enough salt, high quality salt in our diets. And it is leading to a lot of these symptoms that we actually are experiencing as we're transitioning into perimenopause, menopause, post-menopause. So adding high quality salt to your food, really important, but also taking a high quality supplement that's helping you to balance electrolytes, equally as important. And then the trace minerals, like these are just overall health, right? Overall health and wellness. They support everything from nerve function to hydration, but I think the thing that you heard these ladies talk about is the stabilizing effect that it has. So this product really helps to stabilize the body and the systems of the body, which then obviously leads to homeostasis within the hormones. So if you're like, where do I get my hands on these products? I need to have them straight away. Please go back to the person that referred you to this call. They can hook you up and get you all the information that you need. And we are an affiliate and marketing model with one of the best compensation plans I've ever seen. I've actually evaluated 30 compensation plans in the last year. And this is the best that I've seen, which is one of the reasons why I'm here. So if you are interested in joining our beautiful family and community, which I hope you got a little bit of experience of feeling, and yeah, just the warmth and the amazingness of this collective and this community that we're creating. If you are looking to add an additional revenue stream, and you want to be paid on the real dollar, which is one of the absolutely amazing things about this compensation plan, definitely that person that referred you here can talk to you about that as well. But we really just want you to, you know, continue having this conversation. And we'll definitely open up for Q&A as well. And panelists, if anyone needs to hop off, totally understand. I'll stay and answer questions, or please stay if you're inclined to. But yeah, we hope that you got some really great tips here. We hope that we've exposed you to some really incredible supplements that can help ease this transition that you're going through, but also just like, know that you're not alone. Know that there are other women that are going through this. And if you feel like you don't have anyone, you're on this call and you're one of those people that you're like, I don't have anyone, I can tell you right now, you could reach out to any of the women, any of the panelists on this webinar, and we are here for you. We are here for you. We will talk to you. So you do not have to be alone, like 100%. Any questions? I will actually scroll through here. I think I got to most of them, but I'm going to just scroll through the comments. Anyone that needs to hop off, totally understand. Michelle, Sarah, Sister Vic, Bryn actually already hopped off because she had a date with her son tonight. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate just the wisdom and the value and the contributions, and everybody that was here tonight. Thank you so much for, spending your time and your energy here and engaging in this conversation. But I am going to answer questions. So if you have a question, put it in and we can answer questions about anything, about the products, about the compensation plan, about whatever it is that you want to talk about. I've got plenty of time, so I'm happy to stay on.
I have to hop off, but I wanted to say thank you again, Leah, for pulling us all together. And thank you, Michelle and Sister Vicky, and all the guests that came on. Right? Like, you're so valuable, and we appreciate your time and trusting and getting on something crazy hormone talk with us here and talking about the products. We're grateful for you. Like, we don't take your time spent lightly, and so appreciate it. And I look forward to more of these, and I'll see you guys soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Somebody sent me a direct message that said, this has made me feel normal for a change. And that's why we're doing this, right? Like, you are like, this is the thing. It's like 50%, just under, for whatever reason, we have more men on the planet right now than we do women. Just under 50% of the world's population goes through this stuff, right? Like, why are we not like, it's just a normal part of life? Why are we not talking about it all the time? It's so wild, right? So I love that, that share of like, I feel normal. I'm just getting down here to these questions. I'm scrolling through. 6 months of winter and hate the cold. I feel for you. That's why I live in Bali now. I hate the cold as well, but you still need to get outside in the sun and put your feet in the snow. Okay, I'm scrolling down. We answered that. So many comments. You guys were in there chatting away. That's amazing. Sometimes I get jelly fingers that feel like they stick when I wake up in the morning, loss of estrogen. I have a lot of stuff happening in the joints of my fingers. And I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'm certain that it's hormonal. And again, I feel like the magnesium has helped me a lot with the joint stuff, and the discomfort. I also get like such stiffness in my neck, that started like as all of this happened as well.
Can I share, Leah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the recovery, Michelle even said it, the recovery is so quick and so swift and fast that you don't even recognize it. You're going through and you're feeling so much better, being in a different space of feeling good, that you don't even notice it unless someone speaks about it or it trips up in your head. You're like, oh, I really do feel better. Hey, Riel. Yeah, you really, hey, honey. But you really do feel better, though. You really do feel it. It's not just a statement that we're saying here, everyone. You honestly, your body starts to, your internal comes outward, and you see it and you feel it in your face and your bones and your body. And so that way we begin to really, really listen to ourselves and to our body, because they're happy. They're being fed. The organs and the glands are being fed, y'all, and we're happy. And then it shows itself physically on the outside, and you literally feel it and see it. And other people are saying, hey, how are you glowing like that? What's happening? They don't even have an idea. And you're like, oh, I'm glowing? Really? Oh, well, thank you. That makes you feel good to have that type of conversation. So it's working. If other people don't even know what you're taking, and yet they can see it in you, that is a positive.
Yeah.
And that does, you feel good.
So there's a question about the source. When I use the source, I end up with swelling in my joints. Do I need to use less? Yeah, so this product is incredibly powerful and it does rapid detox you. So if you are ending up with adverse effects, like any adverse effects from it, you just have to dial back the dose. So I actually, when I started very, very slowly with this product. I took half a dropper full once a day. And then I built up to where I am right now. So yeah, if you're using half a dropper daily, like I would just keep that up, because if you are having, especially like joint stuff swelling, it's the body trying to detox. It could be detoxing deuterium. It could be detoxing oxalates. There's a lot of things that could be coming out or detoxing out of the body. But just continue use and then build up as you can.
It's a lot of heavy metal that's coming out the body. It's a lot of heavy metal coming out. So that's a great one. Yes.
Hey, Leah, I have a quick question.
Yes.
Hey, I actually have a guest on here, and she came on here because what would you suggest for someone who's tried the Rise and Source, specifically for hormone balancing and hormone help, for a month, didn't really notice anything?
So first and foremost, the one thing that I would say about these products is it really is going to depend on what kind of a life you're living already, right? How are you eating already? What other medications are you taking? What other over-the-counter medications are you taking? All of that is going to impact what you feel and how quickly you feel it. The one thing I can tell you about all of these products is that they compound in the system. So while some people, and we do find that the majority of people actually feel a difference within 30 minutes of taking Rise and Source, because of those high dose methylated Bs, because of the large amount of mushrooms in there, like people tend to feel a real cognitive difference straight away. But for other people who are more healthy, well, and this is more healthy or more sick, it kind of depends. You may not have that wow factor. And actually what you may need to do is come off the product. So for me, like I definitely noticed some things. I noticed some changes. I noticed the kind of like elevated little bit of euphoric effect from the B vitamins, but I didn't really notice the cognitive difference until I came off the products for 3 or 4 days. And then I was like, whoa, like I am so much more focused, but it was subtle. So I didn't necessarily notice it until I went off the products and then came back on. Now, I will tell you, like from a hormonal perspective, the thing that I notice the most is that when I'm off the product, the night sweats are back. When I'm off the product, the sleep gets worse. When I'm off the product, the joint pain is worse. So it's not that I'm like, oh, I'm aware that there's a radical and dramatic improvement. It's like when I come off of it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is how it used to be, right? Because it's not these like, you know, they're supplements. So it's not these like dramatic not these dramatic shifts and changes. But from a hormonal perspective, I definitely think like even now I guess I'm 5 months on the product. Like I notice more and more improvement the longer that I'm on the product. So I really feel like 30 days is not enough time. And depending upon the severity of your symptoms as well, like the body didn't degenerate in 30 days, right? So it's certainly not going to regenerate in 30 days. And I think it's important for us to like manage expectations and have realistic expectations. But, and I'd be happy to have a more of a detailed conversation, because nutrition plays a factor, like what a person's eating, what they're putting into their body, what other potential environmental toxins they're dealing with. Yeah. And again, and pharmaceuticals is a huge one. Like what other pharmaceuticals are they taking? They may need to take the supplements. If they're taking other medicines, they may need to take the supplements further apart from those other medicines. There's a lot of dynamics there, but I think from a hormonal perspective, definitely what I would say is so another thing we didn't even speak about on here is hair loss. Who's had the hair loss? The menopause, the perimenopause hair loss. So
happened, yeah.
Yeah, I had massive thinning, and I have now like baby hairs this long all over my head, but that obviously didn't happen overnight. That is from product. like that's from the product 100%, because I'm only taking the product. Like that's all I'm doing. I take additional magnesium, but yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Leah. That answered it.
Actually just made. The nootropics are adaptogenic in nature, right? So they are actually going to go to the part of the body that most needs healing. And sometimes it's not what we think it is, right? Like sometimes it's not like, oh, we're like, oh, we really want to fix this issue. And the body's like, no, this thing that's going on that you may not even know about is more important. So it's going to go to the part of the body that needs it most.
Well, and if I can chime in for a second, I think, you know, we live in such a cliche to say this, but we live in such a microwave society that people want a quick fix and they want to feel things right away. And what you said was so true, because it's been 4 months and I feel like I'm now getting into a real nice groove with the products. Like, perfect example, because Sister Vic's right here. It took you 10 months to get pregnant, yet we all deliver a baby and think we're going to have a flat stomach days later. You know, you have to go through the process. You don't know what's going on internally. And you need to give these frequencies, aside from the product, these frequencies a chance to do their job. Like their job is to literally go in and restore balance that is not happening. And that's a process, you know, so being on product 30 days is not a good indicator of how well these products can work for you, in my opinion.
Love that. Yeah. I mean, I just think like anything, you know, I mean, I think it's so funny because like we do want immediate results, right? And I can't even tell you how many times I've been like, oh, I'm getting this supplement. I know it's going to fix me. And I take it for like 2 weeks and I'm like, nothing's happening. I'm not taking that anymore. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's so crazy how we do actually interact that way. I will say that like I had a noticeable difference in my sleep. So I think my loyalty to the product truly came from Sync, because the first night I experienced sleep that I hadn't had since pre-having kids. You know, like once you have a child and you're like perpetually sleep with one eye open because you're responsible for whole other human beings now for the rest of your life. Like, and then you just don't ever sleep the same. After the first night of Sync, I woke up and I was like, I haven't slept that good in 18 years. Like, what was that? So that sold me. So I was like dedicated to taking the products from then on out just because of the sleep. But I'm also going to say, and I don't know, Terry, where your client is or where they live in the world, but I truly am like any of my personal customers, if they are in the United States, I am such an advocate of, in Canada. Okay. So I was going to say, I'm such an advocate of incorporating Sync as well, because it is that whole synergistic approach. We are working on getting the products into the other places in the world.
I mean, the holidays are coming up. Maybe you just need to send her a basket of cookies.
Yeah, and we didn't even speak about inflammation reduction. I mean, that's another thing, huge benefit of these products, which is amazing. We could go on and on and on and on. Does anyone else have any questions, though, that we can answer for you? I know that this has been a bit long, but I think it was amazing. And I loved all the feedback and all the questions, and reading the chat was just amazing. So, again, we will be hosting these panel type conversations, not just about women's hormones, but overall health and wellness, mental health, mental wellness, every 2 to 3 weeks. And we do have a Facebook group where all of this information is going to be housed. So all of the replays of all of these calls will be there. This group is purely educational. It's not a sales group. So nobody's going to be in there selling you anything, but you can come in and really get some good information about the products. There are 2 videos in there from our frequency medicine doctor that you can watch that are absolutely incredible, that share more of some of these tips and information that I was sharing peppering in throughout the call. And again, like all of these webinars will be there, and we will also be announcing the upcoming webinars in that group as well. So if you would like to join us in the Facebook group, let me just grab you the link. And definitely, if you are wanting to purchase products, if you're wanting to know more about Frequence, go back to the person that invited you here. They will have a whole wealth of information that they can share with you. But here is the link to the Feel Good Now Facebook group that you can pop onto. And join us for more of this type of content and information. I've dropped that in the chat. Or you can just search the Feel Good Now frequency on Facebook. All right. Have a beautiful and blessed rest of your day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world as you are watching this call live with us, or you are catching the replay. And we will see you on the next one. Ciao, ciao.